In my previous video, I made the first trip up to Mount Teide for some astrophotography. Now I was waiting for more chances, keeping a close eye on the forecast and enjoying my family holiday in the meantime. If you want to skip directly to the astro stuff, there is a timestamp in the pinned comment. I really don't want to, but I have to. This was seriously nice. This trip was not only an astrophoto trip, so a lot of time was of course spent discovering the wonderful nature of the island. Our final stop on the 23rd of December was the forested areas in the northern part of the island. And when we got back to the hotel, the forecast was a bit too promising to ignore. I have to give it a go. Let's see. Conditions are less than perfect. The forecast says mostly cloudy up on Mount Teide, but from down here it looks like it might be clear, so I have to just take my chances and go there. Due to the weather conditions, I had a hard time vlogging and even thinking straight, so there will be a bit of back and forth here with myself from the day after. So I headed up there and the forecast was wrong. There were almost no clouds, but instead there was a lot of wind, almost like storm. When I drove there, I could feel the entire car shaking from the wind. So it was really hard conditions for photography. I had to alter my plans when going up there. I had originally planned to go to a place which is more like almost like a desert landscape with sand dunes and stuff, but due to the wind being so strong, I had to lower my tripods and keep the cameras close to the ground, and that would have just ruined them with dust and sand blowing from these sand dunes. So I actually went back to the place where I went the first night, but instead of going down into the valley or into the crater, I stayed in the public viewing area, so I could be on a paved surface and I could take shelter behind some rocks to somewhat mitigate the effects of the wind. The temperature was about 2 degrees Celsius, but I think it was even colder. That was according to what the car said, but there was some snow on the ground and it didn't melt. It wasn't even wet, so I think it was closer to 0 degrees. So combined with the winds, it was absolutely chilling. Hi everyone. I'm not even sure you can hear me because it's so windy. I'm just gonna do a quick setup here and try to catch some more of Orion, including some H-alpha, and we'll see how much I can manage before the clouds roll in. So I'm at the same place as last time, and I thought I would try to catch some of Orion, but this time hopefully there will be no moon, so I can get some more good data. But the biggest problem tonight will be the wind. I'm not even sure if it's going to be possible to get long exposures or if the wind will rock the camera all the time. Welcome to a very windy Mount Teide and the Roques de Garcia. I have just set up the AstroTrack with the modified Canon 6D and my 50mm Sigma lens to do some shots of Orion, and hopefully the wind doesn't disrupt it too much. It's so windy, so I try to be here behind some rocks, and if everything goes well I might even get the chance to do some H-alpha, but we'll see. I see clouds at the horizon and I'm not sure they're going to stay away, but I will do my best here and try to gather some data on Orion and also hopefully do a time lapse. So, see you later. And just to give you a hint of how windy it actually was, here is a short clip with the original audio from the camera. Okay, so I'm finished with the H-alpha of Orion, and I've just put my Canon R6 on a time lapse with Cassiopeia setting behind Mount Teide, and I think that will look really nice. Only problem is that there are so many cars passing by that they light up the foreground way too much. But I can't really do anything about that, so I will just have to accept that, I guess. So now I'm just taking down the H-alpha filter here, and I'm going to bring the whole setup with the AstroTrack over by the car where I have the other camera now. I'm sorry if I sound a bit shaky, but it's just because I'm so cold. I'm shaking all over, so I hope I won't drop any cameras here. It was about 2 degrees Celsius when I got here, and I can tell you it's not warmer now. And it's so windy, so windy. But I hope I will manage to get something because it looks nice. The skies are not as clear today. There is quite a lot of dust in the air, partly due to the wind, I guess. But I still think the conditions are really nice, so I have high hopes for this. So now I just need to catch the foreground for Orion here as well. There are some nice rocks that I'm going to use as the foreground. It's in the exact same direction as I'm shooting Orion with the H-alpha filter. It's just that Orion is a bit higher up in the sky right now, so I'm going to do the foreground separately and then do a sky replacement. Okay, I'm trying a 30-second exposure now at ISO 3200. That might actually be too bright. And now there are cars coming, lighting up the entire cliff. Well, actually that looked kind of nice. Thanks, I guess. I had to keep my exposure times lower than I would have wanted due to the wind, because the tripods were shaking, the cameras were shaking, the AstroTrack was shaking. So I limited it to 30-second exposures, which was totally fine for everything, but for the H-alpha I would have wanted maybe 1 or 2 minute exposures, but that would not have worked with the wind being as hard as it was. Okay, so now I'm doing 50 millimeter tracked shot of the top of Mount Teide with the Canon 6D, and I'm getting a really nice image because there's a cloud hovering just above the peak. We are getting some more light pollution now. I think it's because of the dust going up. Definitely more light pollution. My R6 is doing 8-second exposures at ISO 10,000 and f2. I think that will be quite nice for the time lapse. I can honestly say that I have never been this cold. Well, at least I think I've never been this cold, because I'm so cold I have trouble even speaking. So I have to get in the car and warm myself up a bit, I think. I was both cold and frustrated by the amount of cars passing by and lighting up the sky. You can see how many there were in this time lapse. Starting the tracked exposure now, and I really hope I can not have these cars go by, at least for 2 minutes. That's all I need. Wow, this was some night. I just have my Canon 6D on the Astro track doing a few more shots, tracked shots of the sky at 24 millimeters. Then I'm packing up. I am totally frozen right now. It's about 2 a.m. so it's officially the 24th of December, so it's Christmas for me. And that's why I should really get home now. So now I'm just going to do one final tracked shot. I'm going to use the Astro modified Canon 6D on the Astro track with the 24mm lens to get the entire landscape here. This is such a spectacular place. I will have to do a test exposure first here. I might as well light up the foreground a bit. Let's see. My untracked shot first. Yeah, I think that will have to do. Okay, let's see now. So when I got back to the car, I tried recording some finishing thoughts to sum the evening up, but I was so cold I couldn't even get the camera to work properly, and I couldn't find the words to say, and my brain was just so frozen I could hardly speak properly. So I tried it, but the camera died because the battery was too cold, so I just gave up and headed home. Yesterday evening and night was both horrible and wonderful at the same time, and if you're a nature photographer or an astrophotographer like me, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. When the conditions are almost like torture, but you're still having the best time of your life and being all excited about the photos you're taking and the conditions. So it's basically why I do this stuff, why I put myself through all these different conditions because of the excitement and the images that I get from it. So if the images turned out as good as I hope they did, here are a few of them, and I hope you will join me for my next adventure. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.